laughter.
Many people are profoundly transformed by this experience who survive it. Their attitude toward life changes drastically. They become much more appreciative of the privilege of living. They become much more compassionate and loving toward others. They become much more spiritually open, not necessarily more religious after the experience. And one thing that's almost universal among these people is they lose their fear of death and lose it forever as a result of knowing that, from their understanding, there is no death.
The near-death experience. Cast out of yourself, leaving your physical body, passing through unimaginable sounds, light, waves of feeling, overpowering visions of things you never conceived of before, faces of the dead. Are you alive? And if you are, where are you going? How could anyone's life not be changed?
How did I change as a result of my experience? Everything about me changed. Now I'm interested in people. I'm interested in what I can do to help their spirit.
I changed as a human being. In many ways, I was very aggressive. I wanted to make money in that. And I realized the need for the materialism isn't important.
I am determined to seek all the knowledge I can find about anything, and to know God most of all.
You do have a feeling of knowingness with the universe, oneness with the universe, and it's not because you're so special, it's because you wake up to who you truly are.
I had to deal with, acknowledge, and accept that I am a spiritual being.
My priority now are personal relations, people, and my personal life.
I was in the nightclub business in New York and in Florida. I had very successful nightclubs, and I was in a very hedonistic and materialistic lifestyle. I was partying and drinking champagne and going out with different girls all the time. It was a perfect world that I lived in. Well, I got into an argument with a business associate in my nightclub.
Listen, don't call me a cheat in front of my friends, okay?
I think I can call you whatever
we started fighting.
You calling me a kid?
How about bucket face?
And it became quite serious. And I began to strangle him. And I was pulled away by a security guard. And all of a sudden, I heard my heart stop and my breathing stop at the same instant, the same moment. And I knew I was dying. I thought to myself, this is it. This is how it all ends. I was dead. I heard somebody shouting, "We have no vital signs. We're losing him." And at that point, I found myself in an ambulance. I could hear the driver on the two-way radio, and he was telling the hospital that they were on their way with a patient who just coded in the ambulance. I sensed that the ambulance was slowing down, and the driver turned at this fork in the road. And when he accelerated very rapidly, I felt myself being propelled out of the top of the ambulance. And I was hovering maybe 40 or 50 feet above the ground, watching the ambulance going down this dark road. My view was then drawn up toward the sky, and I watched what I sensed to be a mass of energy forming in the sky right in front of me, like a black liquid, and it created this tunnel effect, like giant waves, like giant ocean waves funneling around. I heard this loud whooshing sound, and then I went up into this tunnel of energy. And as I went up through it, all of a sudden I was enveloped with this bright light, bright golden light, just surrounded me. Then the light became brighter and brighter, and it turned to a pure white light, radiant, beautiful light. And I knew I was in the presence of God.
Ned Doherty felt that presence so strongly that he reformed and turned his life around spiritually on the spot. But here is what happened to a man already a minister who had always assumed he was in the presence of God, but found that it meant something different after his near-death experience.
I was asleep, and I awoke about 3 in the morning with great pain. And then suddenly I was being transported somewhere else. I remember looking back just fleetingly, and I saw my wife asleep in bed and my body there. I was drawn into this bright light, this ever-expanding, swirling tunnel of light. And it was very much a feeling of returning to somewhere where I had been before. It was like a coming home. I don't know. It was not frightening. It was very peaceful and exciting. That's what I remember. I remember the feelings of peace, gentleness, at oneness. And then suddenly, abruptly, I was back in that bed and back in that body. And I remember thinking, oh God, not this again. I was back in this physical body with its limitations. I was also back with my wife and my children and my pet dog and my home and all the persons and things that I enjoy in this life. But I had had a glimpse of something else, and all of that faded into insignificance. And I don't mean to depreciate my family when I say that. But it did. It was no longer significant. None of that.
Ken Martin had a glimpse of something else. Whatever he felt was so immense, so overpowering that it made everything else, his wife, his kids, his calling, appear insignificant.